No stone unturned is the motto of the incredibly exclusive Truth Seeker Colloquy, a group of warrior scholars and monks dedicating their very lives to the pursuit of the dungeon's secrets, sharing information openly amongst their ranks and swearing themselves to secrecy without, never themselves to seek the power that lies atop the spire, simply to unveil its most inner mysteries. Welcome, travelers, to the Dragonleaf, the Teahouse where tales are told. If you like the content, leave a like in the tip jar and subscribe to our weekly tales. Leave a comment in the suggestion box to tell us how well we did or how well we did not. And following through with our messages from last week, make sure you have a good new year and be safe, everybody. I don't know when this video in particular is coming out, but we already did a happy birthday, so in this case, just have a good one. Thank you so much for listening. And without further ado, it's time to open up shop. Hello, you guys.
Hello.
Do you like my consistent and happy messages?
I thought you were gonna say just have a good.
Yeah,
And a sentence.
you always
You can only
wanna
have
just-
one good?
Well,
yeah.
you could consistently have a good, so then it would be many goods.
I'm not really that generous. Have a good one. But then after that,
Get
it's on you. Last time, the Deviants, as they left the dungeon, met with their dungeon keeper, Sylvia Olea, in which she told them some strange happenings were continuing within the dungeon. Not only from the outside, in various different families scrambling to get up to the top, but from within, as the rules almost seem to be changing in one way or another. They're returning to the family home. They found a cult member who had taken root within their front porch and swore themselves to Matilda and completed their level ups, upon which they were pulled in various different directions until eventually drowned in pure shadows, finding a figure that claims itself to be Vincent's father, spiking him with psychic energy. And as they return, traveling to Killian's shop, where they met with another strange gnomish woman, Lucine Frogfoot, who offered Killian a job, so to speak, and also her own particular employment. As this fun little situation unravels and a small contraption just unleashes water out into the open area contained by Vincent, we jump back in. Sylvia looks on towards the just massive ball that is now containing probably about 3 solid feet of water from this small contraption. She just looks down towards and awaits applause.
Killian, do you want me to do anything with this?
I mean, I guess my first question is, can it reverse?
Yes, but you have to submerge. Here, let me show you. She leans down and grabs the machine and just begins to click it in the opposite direction and throws it up into the ball where it goes in and just you can see it begin to pull some of the water in. It's a rather slow process. How long can you hold the shape water, Vincent?
Let me check. You cause the water to form into simple shapes and animate at your discretion. Changes last for an hour.
Oh, an hour? So it's like little balls sitting there. And I don't know if you've ever counted to 60 before, but it's a lot longer than you think. Because when she throws it in, she sits there, hands behind her back, and it's like... the ball just slowly shrinks. At the end of the minute, you can see that it basically absorbed that solid mass of water back into it, and then with nothing else holding it up, it just tink, 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 hits the ground. Da!
Is this like baseball, basketball, beach
For-
volleyball?
For the machine itself, it's about this
Yeah.
big, size of a large cookie. Don't eat it.
Well, I could see usefulness with that. Why don't you take it, Killian?
Yeah, thank you very much. I have a lot of questions. When you set out to make this, what was your intent? What's its practical applications?
Oh, that's well beyond my particular forte. Initially, I had quite a lot of leaks within the place, and putting pots and pans down, it didn't work too well. So I was starting to think maybe if I just put down a machine that can very, meticulously absorb the water, then perhaps it won't be so wet around my workplace. So I put a few of these down, and each drip hits it and just kind of gets, siphoned in there a little bit. And I found, oh my goodness, they just keep building up, don't they? So I just made it start to compress the water down, and they blew up every now and then. But that's a good one. You don't need to. It's not going to blow up or anything.
Yeah, excellent. My initial thoughts are like, well, instead of water, healing potion.
Ooh.
Could you attach tubes so that several people could drink from a potion at once?
It seems very intimate to me. I think just small tubes from a little machine. Oh, it has nozzles toward the outer edge that it expels the water, so it's certainly possible. You need to
Actually, new attachments then.
indeed. You could, and healing potions could work certainly. You just have to make sure not to shake it too much, because healing potions get rather aggressive when they bubble up.
You can also use air, and this would probably eventually we found a way to make it contained, and you could use it to breathe water, maybe.
Ooh, compressed
Does it hold
air.
gases? Yeah.
I don't know that it would actually, because it takes a lot of the water. If you could compress the air around it and put it into an environment in which air would be compacted in, then maybe.
Well, if that's the case, then you could also make something that could make a very loud noise.
Oh, well, everything that I make does that.
Right? Yeah, no, this is great. Thank you. And yes, let's sort out the details. I hope you don't mind, but my family member Vincent is going to help me draw up the contract. No offense, Matilda. And we can get started right away. Well, right away-ish. I am going to be heading back into the dungeon rather quickly. But I'll make some time for sure.
I do have a specific method that whenever I take whenever I take contracts with exterior people such as those from Helianth that have currently contracted me, I leave it open-ended. I don't like to work under constraints, and I have several contracts going at a time, so they know that they'll get it eventually, before they die, at the very least. This one's a rush order, so it is no particular time frame.
So question, does that mean that the statue carving automaton that you want to make is actually a contracted order for the Helianth family?
Oh, Helianth is a city, love. It's a city to the north, city of the arts. It's just booming with sculptures right now. Some up and coming young son of a bitch has started to curb the industry. So the need for honestly, I'm just making tall cubes, just rectangular bricks out of half decent carving stone. But goodness, the need has grown quite large, and then now they want the machine, and I'm not very good. It's constant maintenance. I need to make something that matters and can, stand not me being there.
Yeah. Come over here. Invincible gesture at your little counter, or do you have an office? Do you think Killian would have?
No office, just a counter.
Yeah.
The office is the blacksmithy, which is not good for doing paperwork in.
He'll walk over to it, and you just see the Carson, please write this up for us. He'll say that in the back of his head, and he'll expend a spell slot to cast Unseen Servant if Carson is not here.
Your unseen servant appears, and Carson begins to take the form.
So he'll take out his just a generic notebook, not his enduring one. Take out a couple pieces and write the framework. Take out a quill, and he'll start floating in the air, and we'll start writing up, and basically we'll go over the terms of what Killian would want out of this. We'll do all that little paperwork.
Yeah, I think overall, because Damon is not good at this sort of paperwork, but Killian would want, obviously, you know, to be able to say that, you know, Lucine is allowed to, you know, like be in the shop, sell her wares through the shop, and rather than renting the space from Killian, just a portion of anything that she would make here would go towards like the rent, or what would otherwise be like renting the space or whatnot. Subject
Take
to
like 5%,
you
or
know
10%.
exactly, like it's, you know, if things are getting sold, you know, if she's spending like a year on a thing, like I want to take too much juice out of the tank. But you know, just so that she doesn't have to worry about payments, it's literally like if she sells something, just a little bit of it goes towards the shop.
She looks on towards this and just says, like, "Oh, you don't need to worry. For example, my other business that I had previously mentioned brings in quite a bit of gold, and I like large payments. How about you don't pay me until, let's say, the end of the year, and then a large sum will just give me that mood boost, you know, and then post that, we'll figure it out."
It's like a vacation fund, dear.
Precisely. And otherwise, when we sell something on the inside of the shop, we just put that into the shop's little fund over there that I see in a little box, and then I can still deposit that. Gives me something to do during the day that isn't, you know, all of my responsibilities.
Okay. Sure. I think that works. She kind of like looks to Vincent like, is that? Seems like a pretty simple contract, but
It's simple. I would, if you were going to watch after Killian's shop while she's away, what liabilities or guarantees do we have? You seem to have some sort of issue with my family. We just want to make sure that this doesn't trickle down and make it like Killian's business.
Oh no, I'm willing to pay them back. It's just that everyone they send towards me has been a bit of an asshole, so I don't want to pay them. And then I have the pouch on me, and I'm trying to pay them back. But if they would just walk up and be like, "Hello," then problem solved. But it's a bit tiring dealing with your family. No offense.
I would say if you want them off your back, just pay them. Maybe send it in a missive. The very short but sweet note. They should leave you alone after that. However, if you wish to carry this on, feel free. It's your own call.
You want to do that? Like for me? Takes out the gold again.
Dear, I don't think the outcome will be to your liking. My family situation with my grandfather isn't a good one. We don't really get along.
less they know that you know us, probably the better.
Ooh.
At least as far to the payment that you need to send back.
Frankly, if you mentioned my presence around my grandfather, he would say who. But aside from that, then I don't know about the rest of, his business.
You see that Lucine, like, she has this, like, kind of raggedy red hair that's just hovering out around the top of her head. She, like, reaches up and then reaches underneath and pulls the red hair back to reveal this just sparse and almost cotton candy-like bright pink hair that she then, like, begins to just scratch underneath the wig before pulling it back over top and then just looks towards you all and is just like, don't understand a lick of that, but what I got from you is you're a secret society. Say no more. I'm in. So I think we've dealt with everything. I'm not a fan of details, so you guys can work out the details.
Vincent just adds an extra couple lines to the contract that basically says if Killian's place is burned down, gets damaged, robbed, or is in some sort of illegal dealings under her watch, then she's liable for it.
She doesn't read it, she just signs it. All I really care about is advancing my own personal repertoire. So long as I can do that, I'll sign these pieces of paper, if you like them. Paper burns anyway. And she hands you back the contract.
Here, Killian, this is yours to hold on to. Might want to store it somewhere. The banks are good for these two. They have safety deposit boxes.
Okay, good. Would that be also a good place to set up the big feel good money payment?
Sure, if you wish to. You could keep a separate account.
Okay.
Throw a little bit in there, here and there, and at the end of the year, you give her permission to go withdrawal, and she can go have fun.
Ooh, I'm really looking forward to it. I got something to look forward to for the next 2-3 seasons. That's a blessing. And she turns back towards the shop and is just like, well, if you're not buying anything, oh no, you own the shop. What am I talking? Are you buying anything? And looks towards the other two. My boss is here. I gotta get the numbers up.
I'm okay for now, dear. Matilda, anything that piqued your interest?
Good. I'm good for now, but thank you.
Well-
Okay, you don't want this? And then she pulls out a. It looks like one of the drinking birds, but it's actually got like a large basin of water in the top and bottom. And then it just leans down and spreads water across a small plant and then comes back up.
That might be a few. Matilda, you have a couple plants back home.
No, I don't. They're gone now.
Well, if you get any new ones, this could keep them watered.
You can also keep the dirt watered for in case another plant enters into it.
Anyway.
Good for now, but thank you.
Killian, dear, do you wish to stay or do you want to go have lunch?
I'll, I mean, is it a family lunch?
I was just going to head down to the Black Sheep. If you don't want to come, that's totally fine. I have a couple business things to do there, but I figured I'd treat you.
Yeah, I'll come. Lucille, do you want me to bring you anything back?
Oh, hoagie. As big a one as possible. I assume this place of yours has a hoagies.
No, we do not, dear, unfortunately.
I think I can find one on the way back, though. So, sure, I'll bring you something.
Perfect, thanks, Chief. I'm gonna go get back to that thing that you requested I do. And then you see she kind of like stumbles, turns around, and begins to make it towards the back, scratching her own head like, now what the hell was that again?
So open a window just so that customers, when they come in, don't get a big smoke, you know?
Oh!
They should see the smoke rising to know that someone's working.
That's good. As you guys exit the area, you see windows open and you just hear grinding resume. These small kind of robots on the outer ends just walking around like small cymbals. They're just... And then just the cymbals open like a mouth and put a little bit of water into the other side. Moving quite a bit more casually than they were before. And you guys exit from the long pathway into Killian's smithy. Kill or be killed. Back out into the marketway.
Is Farland still here with the carriage? We would have asked him to just like wait for a bit.
Farland, he's waiting. Yeah, the carriage doesn't leave unless you guys tell it to.
Okay, cool.
It is your personal carriage.
We hop back in. There is one little thing I want to do on the way over to the Black Sheep. Vincent would like to have a conversation with Carson in his head.
Okay.
To you guys, Vincent just looks like he's staring at the window. But he basically just chimes up. So you wanted to talk before. Carson?
There's a few small
You look-
matters.
Yeah, you look rather frazzled. I haven't seen you like that when you came down the stairs. Is there something you're not telling me?
Not necessarily. I think there's probably something that you're not telling me. Something happened earlier
It did.
while you were all carousing with your ash bombs. There was some kind of a spike, so to speak.
Well, you know, as much as what you told me before, I'm honored to know that you're trying to protect me.
Of course, Master. That is my utmost desire.
I mean, outside of the guise of what you've been doing already.
I don't know what you mean.
My father seems to beg to differ.
That seems unlikely.
And why is that?
Well, he's not exactly in a means to be able to agree or disagree with very much. He's less corporeal than I'm sure he would like.
Interesting. Well, whether he's in a certain state or not, he was able to contact me last night. If to believe that this thing was him. Seems a little boring, if you ask me. But to a degree, it's not too bad. I haven't heard anything of my father since my birth, and the first kind of strange being that comes along is like, I'm your father, so I'm going to take this with a grain of salt. However, he did mention your name, which inclines that whether or not he is, there's still something going on. And I would like to know more. And this isn't, I'm not asking you a question, Carson. I'm giving you a command.
It like appears in the carriage, visible to you, and then kind of leans back in the other side between Killian and Matilda. What is your command exactly?
You've got reasons to keep your secrets. Tell me as much as you can. And not necessarily what you're willing, but what you can.
This thing that reached out to you last night. Your father, I sincerely do not believe it is. If I had to guess from the method of what you have told me right now, and the fact that it knows who I am, I would say it's likely Saracen. There is... He's an uncomfortable devil, a manipulative one. And he does like to play as it is. What can you tell me about the area? If you were contacted, did you hear anything in the background of your mind? Did something else happen?
Thinking back on the situation, does that sound familiar to Vincent?
He hasn't given you any. He's asking you for details. He hasn't really given any.
Yeah, so I mean, like during the altercation with this creature and stuff, was there background noise, basically?
Oh, yeah. There was the sound of like waves and wooden creaking. That was pretty prevalent throughout.
The sound of waves and water and wood creaking almost.
Okay, not exactly Saracen's forte. Perhaps that means something else.
It took on some form of beast shape. Piercing, what was it, red eyes, Adrian, or orange?
This was like a previous. Not that you didn't see virtually anything during
I thought you said it was similar.
Definitely similar in feel to what had happened before. But he leans back and he thinks, and he's just like, this is probably going to be problematic. You might want to let him continue believing he's won this little charade. But if it was your father who had reached out to you, the way you are now, it's likely that whatever it is he wanted, he would have accomplished it.
Well, this creature, whatever it is, it was somewhat capable. It was able to pull us in and interfere with our ash bond. Whether that was through me or not, I don't know. But it also... it's not weak. If we are to continue this, and if you wish to protect me for the future, let's figure out a way to protect me. I need more power.
Power comes at a cost. As the carriage comes to a stop, you just hear kind of like a boom boom on the side, and he's like, "We've arrived, my lords, and ladies, and my family." He just closes it.
That's our dinner call. I'll talk to you later.
Carson fades.
Vincent turns to you guys. Shall we go in?
Yes.
He'll hop out of the carriage. And take on like, his a normal demeanor, like nothing's up.
On point.
Yeah, he'll just kind of stride up to the black sheep and walk in. Who's the hostess at the front today?
Danella's been kind of taking over almost as like she's taking up a lot of Rosa's responsibilities as of late. So it's almost always her at the front that you've taken notice of recently.
Danella, dear. Vincent will go up and give her a hug.
She gives a nice
How are
toothy
things?
smile. She's another tiefling, kind of like this just vivid red skin. She gives you a smile, her kind of blackish hair pulled back. Things are busy, but it's been comfortable ever since the incursion from before with the people who came for your life. It's been quiet comparatively.
Oh, that's good, I guess. Something seems wrong. What's wrong?
I'm just busy. I can't understand how Rosa was doing so many things at once.
It's a gift, dear. You gotta learn to roll with it.
But what brings you all here? And it's nice to see you all again. And looks towards each of you, and then she like glances down towards Matilda with just like a yes, she's here.
Oh no.
Well, we came for brunch, dear. Is there any spare rooms available? Or no?
Oh, of course, always. Your room is still relatively unoccupied, but it's been dusted daily and taken care of.
Yes,
I don't think
I'll-
Rosa hasn't taken notice.
I understand, dear, but duty calls and family business and all. The dungeon isn't gonna tackle itself.
She leans over the counter towards all of you and is just like, well, it is absolutely lovely to have you all back. So I will lead you towards your table. Come. And she makes her way over towards a small room at the back of the Black Sheep, leading you guys past the vibrant, colorful curtains that hang around and the soft floor in the lower section off to the side. You enter into a room, and Vincent, why don't you describe what one of the Black Sheep rooms looks like?
Well, sorry, he meant more of like the downstairs, like hostesses like areas when he meant room.
Oh, like the open ones?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of they're still kind of like situated. It'd be like if you were at a restaurant and they're kind of encaved booths. They're circular. You kneel on the floor on like there's nice cushions. It's very bohemian with the curtains and stuff. It's very colorful, purples and reds and golds and stuff like that. Lots of incense and things going around. And they have drinks and food there. Well, do you mind keeping them company? And he'll kind of smile towards Matilda and then look back at Danella. I need to go have a word with Rosa.
Good luck. And then she moves in. She sits down astride you guys and kind of brings out a menu with a smile, and then she sidles up next to Matilda and gives you just a kind of like look up and down for a moment, and then says, have you all been? And then begins to pay attention to the both of you.
But I think an employee invited themselves into my shop.
Yeah.
It sounds like the opposite of what usually happens. Tell me about that. And she leans in, like visibly interested, as the camera pulls away and follows Vincent up over into the back, just beyond the front desk area where you enter into, or where you find Rosa's bedroom.
There's like a little bit of a room between it, and as he gets there, he just kind of like cheers himself up, like brushes his hair back a bit. He's gonna cast awe on himself, and like make sure he's in order essentially as much as he can be, and just essentially just go in. Or no, he'll knock on the door this time just to be a little bit different.
You enter in, you look, and you see Rosa kind of just sitting at her desk overlooking various different individually wrapped documents. You can see various different scrolls inset and a rather lavish looking feather pen kind of off to the side in an inkwell that she just drops down to the base. And then she looks over towards you and is just like, "It's been a while since you've been back. What are you doing?" She looks at you like visually worried.
Vincent just comes over. He'll go up next to her. Is she like sitting in her chair? Or does she stand up when he walks in?
She always stands when someone enters into her room.
He'll just smile at her and walk around. I missed you too, dear. And he'll lean in and give her a big kiss.
Reciprocates and sits back. She looks at you. I'm going to roll insight.
Yes, versus my passive deception.
What is your passive deception?
19. Oh,
She
18, sorry.
She looks you up and down and says, "I never can tell what you're thinking."
There's a lot going on up there, but right now it's just on us, dear.
Congratulations, by the way. I don't think I ever got to actually say it. I've heard very good things about the Heart's Desires.
Thank you, dear. It's coming along. It's, for the most part, everything I'd hoped it to be, but it's always work that can be done. I apologize for not coming very often. Spent most of our time in the dungeon and figuring out some family affairs, ranking everyone up to quite a bit longer than I hoped. But things are going well. Unfortunately, priorities have been shifted. I'm not going to be able to attend work here very often in the future, though I'll always be there for you.
Just continues
Vincent
to
didn't
stare.
do that weird, awkward laugh, but you're being weird and awkward towards Bianca, so it's just, you know how to respond. Does Rosa say anything? He'll like basically just wait for her to respond.
She sits in silence for a moment and then just kind of looks down towards the papers on her desk. So,
there's nothing necessarily wrong, dear. But can I incline why you asked?
I know something was wrong. I told myself, Rosa, something is off here. It's not going to... Listen, Vincent. We're not going to do this.
Do what, dear?
It's been you and me. And recently you've just been leaving me in the dust. Everything that's been happening, it's just moved from us to you. And I always felt like at the very least I was a part of everything that was happening. But now it's also distant. What's really going on? Why? It feels like within the last few years, I don't know, something's different. Now you're coming here and you're saying, what, you're not going to stay here anymore? I know that you always wanted more, but I guess I always thought I would be there. And now I just feel like you're leaving me in the dust. What's going on?
Yeah. Vincent's demeanor kind of changes a little bit, and he'll sit down in like a chair across from her, and he'll lean back a bit, take on a slightly, it's like serious tone cranked up just like a tiny bit. I thought you understood our relationship, dear. I will always be there for you, course. And I love you. But you know where my priorities lie. No, I'm not leaving you behind, dear. And I'm sorry if I made you feel that way. But if you were to keep up, we need to change perspectives. I have things planned for the future. Didn't. But you have your own businesses and things to run here. If you choose, I have ideas. And I wouldn't mind having you by my side for them. But I need you to make that decision.
She pulls back a small scroll, throwing several others out of the way on the desk, and slides it forward. And she says, "My mother always knew something like this was going to happen." As she slides it forward, she pops open what amounts to a dozen-year-old wax seal and unfurls it across the table. She says, This. She points towards the black sheep. She says, she didn't leave it to me. As much as I always felt like she was pushing me and fighting to make me into her. And I love her so much. She's amazing. But I think she saw the future of business, not with me, but with you. She slides it open, and you can see that the deed to the black sheep indeed reads Vincent Coldwater. She says, I thought this day one day would come. But according to this, when you're ready to take flight, as Mother put it, this was to be your wings.
Sorry, Bianca doesn't understand that reference.
It's basically just saying that, like, this is... It's a boost for you. It's a step. The late Rosalind Bell left... Yeah, this was the first one to be given to you. The dirt under your feet for your movement forward. But as the late Rosalind Bell left the entire building to you, and not to Rosa. She says, I've been keeping it warm for you, but as you can see, I don't really have these responsibilities that you were talking about before. So, you won't be leaving me behind this time.
This does change things a bit. I don't actually think it's a bad thing. I think I can make this work. So he'll reach into his, inside of his coat and pull out a piece of paper and kind of put it down on the table as well. Here's some ideas that I've been having for the future.
She just pinches her brow and is just like, I didn't actually expect you to have a fucking list. Just leans back in her chair.
And he'll point to, like, one of the ones down on the sheet near the Heart's Desires. Right now, Carson has been, my assistant, he's been setting up my new lodging within Heart's Desires. Fortunately, dear, it's not like I don't like the black sheep. It's just, frankly, the space could be used for better profit. And I need something bigger. And of course, with more room comes the availability of having someone there, of course. If you wish to be a part of my life, Rosa, would you want to move in with me?
I think she just reels back and wasn't expecting that. She's like, at what's the earliest convenience? Like, at what point do you think my things could show up? Because I've already got so much to worry about here that the very
Carson?
idea. Carson just kind of opens the door as not to freak her out by apparating through darkness. "Oh, you just open women's doors now, do you?" And then
May
he's
I
like,
call?
"I'm afraid there must be some kind of mistake. This is my master's abode." And then strides forward into her room, and she immediately is just like, "Nope, don't like him."
How long would it take to arrange for Rosa to move into the Heart's Desires?
Oh, it can be finished. He begins to look around. He's
To
like,
her specifications, of course. We can change some of the architecture as needed.
he turns towards her and gives a bow and says, "Well, allow me to understand some of these specifications, and I can be happy to facilitate. At the most, maybe a few days, but I can have it done by the end of the day." And then she kind of like looks over towards her wardrobe, stands and moves over towards these various different mannequins that are set up with different fine clothing. And she grabs one, this like massive shawl, and throws it up over her shoulders. It says,
Oh.
"I'm going to go scout out the Heart's Desires."
If you want to, dear. I also have a personal tailor there, so if you would like, all of this can be thrown out and we can have something new.
"These are imports." She looks, how, you think you can just begin talking to me like that just because? And then, like kind of just trails off for a second, and you can see this just like excitement that she doesn't understand where to put just begins to bubble out. And just sitting like that being like, "Go ahead, finish, and then let's get back on topic," kind of thing. She sits back, and as Rosa prepares, she basically like, "There's so much I have to do." Danella makes her way outside, and Danella, sitting with you guys, stands and is like, "Oh, I'll be right back." Turns, and the two join together before exiting.
Danella has literally just been listening to Killian talk shop, despite the fact that no one is here that necessarily understands the shop that Killian is talking.
Oh, Matilda might have a basic understanding. She could probably give a bit of input if it's like math and shit related. So you and I are just like blah 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 engineer talk, blah 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 blah.
She is
Yeah,
sitting
like-
there asking questions. She is visibly, like, she's obviously, from a standpoint of someone who knows what they're talking about, she does not. But as she's sitting there, she's just constantly asking questions and like engaging and just trying to lead you guys down further these pathways. And you see like liquor just kind of appear within the areas. People kind of drop it off on tables and move out, pouring champagne and the like. And then basically Danella stands at this point and gives a happy kind of curt smile, cock of the head, and then makes her way over towards Rosa. As she passes by you, Vincent, you kind of like see her over towards the side. The second they get out of line of sight, she's just like, just shaking and holding her head, begins to move over towards Rosa, who's now like, "Okay, I have a few things for you to do." And she's like, "Oh, of course.
If I wouldn't mind, dear, I have a request. Well, considering I'm now officially the manager, I'd like to pass those duties over to Danella, just in the sense of duties. We're gonna double your pay, dear. Rosa's moving in with me to the Heart's Desires, so we're gonna definitely need someone to manage this place a bit more. Let me know if you need any help as well. We can look into hiring you an assistant."
She looks over towards Rosa, and Rosa's just like, like happily begins to just move towards the front door. And then she's just, "Okay." This all happened very fast. I will need an assistant, so make that happen. Boss?
Already on it, dear.
She smiles and she's like, "I'm not used to this yet." Was that good? Was that too forceful? Was that mean? What did you think about it? A little too saucy?
Make it your own, dear. Whatever you choose, just roll with it.
She smiles and begins to look around at all of this, and never having expected any of it. You do see a single tear roll down from her, just like solid red sclera. And as she kind of looks over towards you, she's just like, "Wow, I'm not gonna let you down." And Rosa calls out, and Rosa's already gone, like skipped through the front door already. "Okay, I'll talk to her later." Wow, okay. Your friends are over there. They're very intelligent. That's their whole thing. That's their whole thing. And then she begins to walk off towards the administrative office, and you see her like run a hand across a velvet couch, as you are left briefly alone.
would like to say that the minute that she walked away and was like, oh, holding her head, I think Matilda turned to Killian, sidled up closer, looked very relieved that this person was gone that was asking all these questions. And I was like, okay, now that that person's gone, we can really dig into this, because holy crap, I had to stop so much to answer all those questions. Does she not understand the basics of, like, mechanics? Jeez, okay. Anyway, let's go with what you were saying.
What I'm saying is, it depends entirely on whether it's a mechanical or a magical effect that's condensing the water. If it's a magical effect, then we could condense anything, which means we could fill it with like a quiver of arrows and then throw it into a battlefield, and it would just shoot arrows everywhere. But if it's a mechanical effect, then it has to be a liquid or something akin to a liquid, maybe even like particles. It could be like a useful like smoke, like a smoke bomb, like a fog cloud, but that doesn't cost a spell slot.
Oh my gosh, you could put a poison in there inside of like a
exactly
fog cloud and like
yes.
Wow. Oh, okay.
There's so many applications. I just don't understand why she only uses water. Like everything is just water with her.
She has a few screws loose, which is hilarious coming from these two nut jobs. Yeah, and that's basically what happens. Is we're just like, oh, thank God that person's gone. We don't have to be polite anymore.
I think after a couple more minutes, Vincent will excuse himself as Danella and Rosa start arranging things. And Carson's taking a couple notes, and he'll come out to greet you guys again. So, how did your conversation go?
Huh? What?
Nice. She asked a lot of questions.
Basically, how was lunch?
Oh, it was also very good.
The food was great. The constant interruptions was kind of annoying, but they seemed very nice.
Well, I might have to stick around here for a little bit longer, but Matilda, you needed to go to the library, right?
Yes, very much so.
I would say feel free to take the carriage. I have my own here, or at least over at the Hoster's Eyes. It can get me around. Killian, what do you think you'll be doing for the rest of the day?
Well, finding a hoagie at some point.
This is true. Do you think you'll head back to your shop?
I think so. Yeah, I wouldn't mind spending more time with her, maybe doing some work. I've got a lot of questions for her. But also, is there anything that either of you need me to make before we go back in the dungeon?
Not at this time frame, dear. I have ideas for the future, but I think we need a little bit more. I think we need more materials, specifically from the dungeon.
Understood. Speaking of dungeon materials, how early should we get up? Like, do we need to? Are the lines just going to be always that long? Are we going to be able to get back into the dungeon in a day? Do we need to line up tonight?
Well, JoJo's off on her little guild escapades. She said she needed 2 days, so we still have tomorrow off, and we can figure that out afterwards. I have faith in Sylvia. She'll figure out a way to get us back in.
Okay. Yeah, then I'm just gonna work. It'll keep my mind occupied.
I'd also really like to find a way to break in there and to read other people's files to see what other stuff that they've been saying about that floor, but I don't know how easy that would be.
That sounds like a really bad idea.
I would, when it comes to tinkering, the only thing I can think of right now is maybe if you have time, Killian, the next day or so, fashion me one of those suits with the linings. I had to give mine away to Silene, so it's not like I can't handle the heat, but it's always beneficial.
Did we have any of the materials left over, Matilda?
I don't know if we did.
No, we have like scraps, pieces that were cut off from the ends.
How long would it take to make just the lining?
I don't think it took very long the first time.
No.
Yeah, for one person, it'd probably be like 2 days to get it properly situated.
Okay.
Yeah, so I could do that. Because Matilda and I worked on it together. Would Matilda be able to just like read off the ingredients, or would I have already like written those down somewhere? Because I don't think we would have written them down because it's dungeon related, and those are you don't want to write stuff down.
Well,
when it's dungeon related.
Matilda's been writing all of it down, but she keeps it in like her secret room in the.
Yeah, Killian
I think
doesn't have a secret place.
for the most part, I think you're both proficient in the creation of this item now that you've worked together for it.
Okay.
But it's like it was a 2-person job basically, because it's not even just a matter of like, oh, doing this, doing that, but it requires like there's a lot of very heavy materials. There's a lot of movement. There's
Do
a
you
lot of
think that
like things that need to be done at the same time.
Do you think Killian's new friend could assist him with that?
Maybe. It depends on whether or not she's gotten that far. So I'll ask. I won't pry, but I'll ask, and if it sounds like I do need the extra hand, then I'll reach out to Matilda the next day.
I'm happy to help.
Aside from that, I'd say have fun. Keep in touch. Jojo has one of the sending stones.
Lavos
I
is
have-
the other one, right?
Yes. Yeah, Matilda, you take this one. If anything happens, message Dear Papa, and you'll get a message out to us.
I am also thinking of creating a cipher for the information in the room, and also only putting up things that we want people to know. I don't know. I'm gonna figure out a different way to do it. I was thinking of first transcribing everything into Infernal and translating it back into Common, and then translating it back into Infernal again, and because it doesn't translate very well when you do it multiple times. And then if you do a cipher based off a language that's been translated back and forth multiple times, good fucking luck trying to understand if you don't know what you've done.
Yeah, like the message will just end up being like, dog time, but not if when, but then can it?
Yeah.
What does this
Pretty much,
mean?
pretty much,
Google
pretty much.
translating something 20
Yes,
times.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, pretty much.
Well, you have fun with that. Jojo's pretty good at these things. I think she came up with her own sort of spell book cipher, so she could help you in the future with that.
I also want to throw in some of the dungeon language in there once I get a better grasp on it, because that'll really fuck with them, and it'll be pretty funny to see someone try and figure out what the cipher says.
For sure. Well, let me know if you need anything. I can maybe help out financially, but things are a little tight right now. Speaking of which, did Paka pay us for means that we went into the dungeon with, or came out of the dungeon with?
I don't think he
Adrian?
had the time.
That would have been a waiting in line situation. But from the previous hauls that you guys have had in other dives, this one definitely was not as substantial.
No, we went through areas we didn't gone before. Okay.
We did at least 2 boss fights, though, right?
Yep. Well, previously you did the Infiltrator Knight, and then post that you did the Red Widow.
Well, I'll see you in a bit then. Keep in touch.
Right. See you then.
Vincent, you remain, and the rest of you jump. Actually, as you're going towards the front entrance, you see your carriage, but it is unmanned. And then on the interior of the Black Sheep, you can see Fairlin kind of off to the side with his hands up, just being like, I don't know. This is it's just like two a host and a hostess. They're bringing him over to a table on the side, and then he sees you guys, and it's just like, my lords. It just strides past them and moves in towards you, and you see the hostess just being like, damn it, he got away. As he approaches, he's like, right, duty calls. He just kind of rushes out through the front door, jumps on the saddle, takes the reins, and just almost leaves without you, and then pulls back, stops. And you guys are heading towards the Owl Grand Library, yes?
Well, question: first of all, are we delivering Rosa anywhere? 'Cause she had
No, me and Rose are gonna stay here
Okay.
for a bit.
and the library is in the opposite direction of my workshop. Is that
Yes.
right?
The library is actually quite close from here. You're probably like
Okay.
a 5 to 10 minute carriage ride.
Okay, I'll take the carriage ride to the library, and then I'll go from there.
Well, you could take the carriage ride to the library and then take the carriage to your workshop.
Striding along Bladebeak is fine.
Okay.
He's all fixed up and everything.
Making your way through the city, passing through the circle and over into the Marble Slates, you find the Owl Grand Library, and every time you come here, Matilda, you look over and you can see the garden school in which you were previously just removed. And every time it gives you just that little bit of like, am I going to see people who I know or know me? I need you to go ahead and roll a D100 for me.
Oh no! Oh man, I don't know what's good or bad. How about I get a 1? Let's see what happens if I get a 1 on a D100. Oh, no, 72.
I think Selene is the only person so far who's rolled a 1 on a D100.
Okay.
72. As you enter in, nobody that you particularly recognize, but you do hear that there's a bit of a commotion at the front. You can see the fawn librarian, and in the back, drawing the attention of the massive, just elephant man, this Loxodon, who was previously just placing books on the top of bookshelves, turns and begins to pay attention. As an individual very finely dressed stands with this kind of just jagged, pointed mustache coming down to finely trimmed facial hair, and a suit of regal renown, but also like it's got a tinge of intellect to it. As you look at them, Matilda, you recognize this person as a professor, but you do not know who. And causing a bit of a commotion towards the front, it's just, and you can be certain that the funding will be cut within the next season if you do not accomplish this quickly. Oh, we understood. And she says, I don't understand most things, but you're being very blunt. So yes, I'm going to say, counter offer. What are you doing tomorrow? And then he's just turns and just begins to walk away. She like watches him. Goodbye. He begins to trounce past you guys and looks at all of you. He has the stare of a hawk as he glances at the lot of you and just like, don't let anybody in here nowadays, rushes past you guys and makes its way towards the door.
No, they let them in. They let them in as Matilda walks by.
You stride forward and she's like, he's a lovely man. He's just not nice. How are you? I remember, I never forget a face. You are Matilda and you are Killian, and you don't need your cards because I know you have them. How are you? What do you like? What is it that you would like to do? Can I help you? Can I join you? Let's do some research. What do you want to look up? Let me look it up.
Well, I was just about to leave. Did you need anything, Matilda?
No. You just stay safe.
Yes, stay safe. Make sure that you stay safe. Can I help you with anything? Can I get you to your... Are you riding in a carriage? Are you walking? I can't walk you out. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. I've got my own transportation, and I untoy soldier Bladebeak.
You can just do that, huh?
Yep. Magic.
I mean, yeah. But like, how? And what? And she's like, that doesn't feel like a proper explanation.
If I was in a better scenario to give one, I would.
Are you in trouble? Can I help you? Is there something I can do?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, that's good. And then she grabs Matilda by the hand and is just like, I want to show you our new rooms. And then you can see the Loxodon in the back looking towards the person who's left, and it's like, just gives a nod and returns to his duties.
Why are they going to cut your funding?
Oh, they're not going to, because they said that we should be quick about something, and we can. We're. I look at my legs. I'm very fast.
What do you need to be quick about?
Oh, she looks over towards the Loxodon, almost as though to like ask permission, and he just slowly shakes his head. And she's just like, that was a zipper.
Okay.
Smiles and then moves it in and begins to kind of sit down. As you request the books that you had previously talked about, she's like, oh, we really don't have very much about the lost history, mostly because it's lost. And that's the trickiest part about it. But the Dianthian Empire goes back and is pretty well documented for the last 100 years. Are you interested about the War of Eagles, or the War of Bloody Eagle, or the War of Fallen Eagle? They're all kind of eagle themed.
What led to the information being gone? What happened? Why is it gone?
From what I understand, it was pretty much just the beginning of the Dianthian Empire. One of the leaders said, well, we don't need this anymore, and then they burned it. And there was a library, and there was a great owl that actually I think has something to do with the name of this library. But honestly, I'm not very good at this. And aside from that, I think it died. I think the owl died. If I'm remembering that. And that makes me sad now, kind of. But I think they burned it down and they thought, well, we don't need this history. It's not about us anymore. And then now it seems like everybody forgot it, which is, I mean, that doesn't... If I burn these books, will I forget? Then she just sits in an existential dread for a moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want information on the beginning of the Dianthian Empire. Also, anything that's like personal accounts would be interesting because they might allude to some things that dry scholarly text will not.
As she begins to procure the books, and you're just like, oh, and like any connection between the inside of the dungeon and the outside of the dungeon, she begins to actually question you. And she says, okay, so this, she pulls out a small pair of spectacles and puts them on, and pulls out a small book and begins to flip through them, and she says, okay, does the name Lodom mean anything to you?
Yes.
Okay, what does it mean to you?
Oh, from what I can remember, isn't that what there's a Lodenium sword, and isn't that the name of one of the?
As you say that, she says, okay, I should be able to talk to you about this. One of the perks of working under Ogma, the empty scroll, you know, the knowledge must be shared openly.
Also, anything about Psalm would be great too.
Psalm. Pops open her book. Okay, the city of Psalm. Yes, I have a little bit of information about that. Do you know about the open forums?
I know about the open forums.
Roll intelligence.
I was like, wait, do I? Intelligence. Save or check?
Just a check.
Ooh, dirty 20.
20. You're relatively familiar with the open forums, but there are many. You assume that the one that she's referring to in the marble slates is the open forum that exists just on the eastern kind of eastern border, of the marble slates itself. They are a group that is dedicated to the sharing of ideas underneath Ogma, who is a god of literally free thought, free thinking. His symbol itself is a blank scroll because his concept is that every scroll is meant to be filled with information. This god clashes with the concept that the dungeon's information should be cloistered heavily, and is constantly rebelling against the idea, in which he has created the open forums, which is a location where people are allowed to enter in and speak openly about certain topics. But basically you need to pass like an entry exam to say, yes, I know about this, and then you can go in and begin to theorize with others. She says, that might be of use to you. That might be of interest. I have gone there once. I've never been in the dungeon, so they were pretty quick to tell me no, but the flooring was very nice. This book might be of interest to you. And she pulls out a book and she says, there is a city to the north of Aboria called the Ruins of Lodom, but it seems like it was named that afterwards. See, the dungeon was discovered, and it seems like the name Astrid, as is written here, was discovered in a book. She seemed to be some kind of a songstress. And then there was historical evidence of her existing within this small city to the north of Amaranth, and that's where they got the name from in the dungeon. So they renamed the city, which I don't know what was originally called, but they now called it the Ruins of Lodom. Quite the trek, though. It's all the way up past the Blue Mountains. But that's fun.
I want the book, please.
Oh, okay. We can only let you borrow one book at a time.
It's okay. I'm going to be sitting here probably for a solid 8 hours reading as much as I can.
Oh, that's lovely. I live here. So awesome. And she points back towards the back room where you see a door that's just kind of like more raw wood than the rest. And then she's like, that's my house. So if you have any questions, I live here.
Okay.
Just stands and like unceremoniously turns and leaves.
Did
Ironfall, is that close to the Ladunian place that we were kind of talking about, or not really?
Ooh, opposite side of the continent.
Opposite.
Journeying from where she had previously said that it would be is likely like half a year or more of a journey.
All right. Well, if Matilda has a big stack of books, she's just gonna like dive right in and get going. And if there's any other theories or queries that the books bring up, she'll just ask for more.
Okay, go ahead and roll investigation.
May I guide myself, Adrian?
Yeah, for sure. You have time.
Investigation. I wanted to do borrowed knowledge, but I'm like, I already have sufficient.
You summon a spirit and you're just like, get lost. Who do you think you are? I know more than you.
Oh. 21.
With a 21 in your investigations, I will allow you 3 questions that I will answer truthfully, as much as the information that you have will allow you. If you like, I could leave you with those questions as well.
Hold on. So, does it appear that the people that we're reading about, that we're seeing in the dungeon, actually lived here on our land?
There seem to be connections between the two of them, and with the arrival of the information that there is a place that was renamed Lodom, with stories of a songstress named Astrid that actually tied somewhat into the ascent of the dungeon. You feel like there are connections, but whether or not these people lived here, you do not have enough information to know.
Do I get a good starting point of where I could possibly look for any of the lost information, the history that's gone?
From what you understand so far, impossible. From everything that people have said previously, it's simply lost. There have been entire organizations dedicated to attempting to like eschew the fact that it's gone and try and build it back up. Even the Altician faith, one of the most like prominent and widespread organizations in the world, has also attempted the same and has made no progress.
Do I feel like there's a connection between the symbol, like the faith that we see inside of the dungeon, and the Altician faith that we have now?
Unmistakably.
Okay. Theory confirmed.
As you kind of begin to dig into the history of all of this, you find there's quite a lot of sun imagery, but not only that, there also seems to be a lot of gods of the sun. One thing that also raises a question in your mind is that you have this goddess of the sun, Altisha. You have this like mysterious goddess who has a very, very similar looking symbol. And then you also have Lathander in the city and Helios, a god who had been previously here and now has been removed in one way or the other. People who barely remember him as even being here in the first place, yet another god of the sun. And that kind of, those constant connections begin to spark something in your mind that something weird is going on with this. And from that, the camera pulls away. You do not need to sleep, so this may be where you live now. Who knows? Where do we go? What do we do? Who's doing what? Give me stories.
The only thing Vincent's gonna do afterwards is essentially head back in and chat with Rosa a little bit more, and then he's gonna head over to the Heart's Desires and see if he can get a meeting with, track down where Alexi is and get a talk with him. But I don't know if Killian has anything planned.
Probably not too much. Remove a little bit of gold or silver or copper for the hoagie that she would pick up on the way. But otherwise, just gonna spend that evening essentially working. Or actually, no, I can't work if I'm working on the vest for Vincent, right?
That's
Lining,
correct.
yeah.
Okay, then I will start working on the lining.
Gotcha. Here's the thing. Do you talk to Lucine and share the information of how this lining is created with her?
The only thing I would ask is I would ask her like how far she's been in the like. Are you allowed to ask someone how far they've been in the dungeon?
Yeah.
Okay. I would ask her how far she's been in the dungeon.
She says, oh, for the most part, I've gone in just for a few excursions, so to speak. But for the most part, it's just kind of been collecting some clay, things like that. I'm actually not a diver. So that's one thing. I'm actually a crafter. So it helps me out with this whole crafting business. But aside from that, it's my expertise lies out here. I've been at little ways into the 4th floor, but I was protected.
Protected by other divers. I imagine.
Yes, I put out a little bit of a call, and then they answered. I believe they were Yondala's crew, something of Yondala's family that answered. They seem to be very protective of me for some reason.
Based on those answers, I imagine that she would have had some sort of protection for the 4th floor.
Yeah, like traveling in. It's actually a pretty common thing that you see in requests is that like scholar needs protection up to 4th floor, this location for this reason.
Right. I just mean like not only
Lining.
protected but also like not overheating and dying from not having the right stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'd be vague and I'd be like, so 4th floor, pretty warm, huh?
Well, the lake that we went to was nice.
Do you handled the heat okay?
It was all right. It was somewhat gray. I wouldn't call it particularly hot. Rocky is one word I'd use.
Fair enough. Well, I have a clothing order for Vincent, so I'm just going to be working on that.
I did have gold water. Yes. It's going to be expensive. Are you a tailor too?
No. It requires a bit more of a craftsman's touch, I suppose, than just cloth alone. I don't want to get into the details because I probably can't talk about it. But I'm just going to be in the other side of the room. Just holler if you need me.
She pops over to Gnomish and is just like, whatever you say. Tell you what, I will be on the opposite side of wherever you are, because it seems like that's where you want me to be, and I'll be not paying attention. Huh?
I'll also swap over to Gnomish and be like, you got it, sister. Using the official term sister instead of like what they would use in, whatever, like way more official than it should be.
She smiles and she says, I need to introduce you to my 9 other sisters. Oh, you're going to love Maya and Jana and Valesia, and probably not. Samita, you'll probably not do very well with. Ari and Yell's great. Isabella, stay away from her, honestly. She's trouble. And Cement's fun. But Killian, adding you to the list. And she gives a smile before she makes her way to the other side of the room.
Okay. Killian missed every single name because she's still kind of partially translating the Gnomish in her head as she's listening to it. But I'm sure she'll follow up later.
As the two of you begin working, if you are not letting Lucine in on this little shindig of yours, then this will be 1 day's worth of work towards this. I need you to roll a smithing proficiency check to see if you make the progress that 2 people otherwise would be able to make comfortably.
Would that be con?
Cool with con, yeah.
Okay. Because what Killian will probably do, given that we have 2 days here, she might just burn the midnight oil and just try to put in even more time at the risk of getting a little tired today. All right, smithing. Let me just double check to make sure that my tool doesn't give me pluses to actual checks.
This is kind of alchemy more than it is smithing. Do you have alchemy tool proficiency?
Yeah, I got alchemy, leatherworking, smithing,
Perfect.
thieves, and tinkering.
This is definitely more alchemy than it is smithing.
Yeah. I was just checking the tool that works all the time. Like
Multi-tool, yeah.
The multi-tool, yeah.
Or all-purpose tool.
Okay, yeah. Only applies to spells. Okay, that's all. All good. Rolling. Ooh. Good.
That represents your best attempt to push through in order to make it. So as you work through the night in your attempt to make like enough progress to cover one day, you basically make like a half day's progress. And
then wake up on the table and just like the lining has just like made like weave marks across my face as I wake up.
Picture there's a Killian face now embedded in the lining.
just the teeth.
Ooh, that's actually a very cool symbol. Just an open maw of goblin teeth is pretty sick. We'll cycle through as Vincent. You were searching for. First, you talked to Rosa, and her demeanor went from kind of demure to just honeymoon phase.
I know. He comes back in the room after he sees off his friends, and after a little bit of like looking over the deed and like thinking of some things and jotting down some notes, something occurs to him, and he kind of strolls back over to Rosa. Rosa, dear, I have a quick question.
Anything.
And he'll show her the deed in his hand. What were you doing with my funds? Why was I paying for staying in my own establishment all these years?
I was acting manager at the time. You simply purchased your way. And that is not a single copper at a place as my mother would have wanted it. You know her. And to answer your question, it went back into the business.
As long as that's the case, dear. He'll eye her wardrobe a little bit.
This was purchased with my own money. Do you not even begin?
It's fine, dear. Either way, it doesn't matter. I have ideas. None of this is actually within our control. Yes, I'll speak of this later, after things have moved along. But we'll go have a look at the heart's desires, and I'm excited to see where things go.
Me too. This is a big change. I'm not going to lie about that. It's a lot of difference. But I mean, in a way, it's kind of what I wanted. She runs a hand across your cheek and then moves over to the other side of the room.
Well, I'll leave you be, and you continue your planning. Carson, like I said, should have it up and running within a day or two. I'll be heading out within an hour, so if you wish to join me, let me know. But I have some business to attend to later today. So.
I won't get in your way. I'm like a ghost. She smiles.
Also, I know it's something you usually like to do, but I do have to head back into the dungeon within a day or so. I won't be back for quite a while. Maybe upwards of a couple of weeks to a month.
I'll get myself very comfortable.
Of course, dear.
And when you get back, you'll have to make it up to me.
I always do.
She smiles. I will be holding you to that.
He'll take his leave. And in the back of his head, Carson, when did you set up that appointment with Theo?
Oh, he should be happening by the family home within the afternoon.
Tomorrow?
Why, today, of course.
It is the afternoon, dear.
Well, then you best get home.
But okay, out of character. Matilda's at the there's no way this could work. The meeting was with Matilda.
No, I know. Matilda. He's kind of fucking with you.
Okay. If that is the case, would my passive insight have picked up on that?
There is no question. Yeah.
Okay. As he says that, I'm just like, okay, well, we'll be by tomorrow, so make that work.
I'll pencil it in.
He'll and were you able to get in contact with Alexi?
Funny enough, no. It seems like he and here's the fun thing. What is her name? Sylvia? Enchanting. Seems like they have been meeting regularly.
Sylvia is our dungeon person, right?
Yes.
Like, that's Sylvia? Okay.
Yes.
Just confirm. Interesting. Well, they've been meeting, so you know where he is. Send him a message. Tell him I'm in town right now, and it's urgent. I need to see him.
I'll send a spellogram.
How much does Vincent need to pay for that?
The spellogram, I believe, is 25 gold for the full message. Or you can get away with 10 gold, 10 words.
It's fine. I'll give him. It's 25. Cool. And he'll head over to the Heart's Desires within an hour, and kind of await for Alexi to respond.
It's maybe like by the time you reach the Heart's Desires, there is a message from Carson. It says, Alexi will be by shortly. I had to be more forceful, but it seems like that was the preference, if I am reading the room correctly.
That's fine. Thank you.
Very well. I shall attend to my other matters. You wait within the Heart's Desires before shortly afterwards entering in this just bloody golden attire. This just Adonis enters in, and you can see like your workers looking on towards them, just being like, hello, sir, and beginning to move up before he's like, I have a meeting. But thank you very much. Very hospitable. Makes his way up towards the office and is immediately stopped. But you're kind of watching all of this transpire.
So Alexi was in his armor basically and everything. Is that what you're
No, he's
saying?
wearing like just a golden suit kind of thing. It's like yellow and
Have I ever seen
gold trim.
Alexi in anything this fancy before?
No. But he's in a
Okay.
fancy place.
Interesting. Okay. I guess at this point, I'll connect with Lexi in the back of his head. Is he within like 60
Yes.
feet of me?
He's
Okay.
on the outside of basically the bouncers have stopped him.
Dear, just give him your name, they'll let you in.
You just hear like a mumbling on them. And then after a few seconds, the doors open. Alexei enters in and it's just like, you have security.
I have a lot more than that, dear.
Do I even still have a place?
Come with me. And then he'll bring Alexi into his office. A lot of this has changed, right? Like the front stuff is basically the same, but there's been some renovations, right?
Yes, you have quite the impressive establishment. Second floor loft where you guys are currently.
Cool. Yeah, he'll bring him up to his office, essentially. Tell him to have a seat. There's like probably a nice fireplace or something there.
You said this was urgent. What's wrong?
Well, you seem like someone who has been difficult to get a hold of. So I figured the only way to get you down here is to... Well, I think it's important, but you might not.
Hit me with it. Let's see what's going on. If it's important to you, it's important to me. We're friends.
Of course. So some things have changed of recent. I'll just give you some more personal stuff, Alexi. I think we're best friends. You should know what's going on. The Rose is moving in with me here, and I'm going to be away for a bit, but there's been a change of order for the Black Sheep.
I would say that she'll be a better influence on you, but I feel like I don't actually know if that's true. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Aside from that, you seem to be, when you came in, a little worried. I wouldn't be in that case. Just, if you need anything, let me know, and I'll be there, like usual. I'll make room.
He just points around and is like, I don't think this could change anything, to be honest.
Also, what's with the Vincent will eye up down? It looks very good on you, but so does everything. So, what's with the getup? Did you come from like some sort of wedding?
No. Actually, I went to the rack and I was doing a little bit of just work with people. But they respond pretty well, it seems, to vivid colors. Do you know about Lizalda? Oh, actually, you have one in your family, don't you?
I do. Paka.
I was going to say pernicious. I don't know where that came from. Paka, right. I've been doing some outreach work. Your dungeon keeper, Sylvia, actually sought me out. And as a guard of the Deanery, I have quite a bit of interest in, protecting people. But we found out together that there seems to be just no end to the missing. This is a deeper rabbit hole than we would have expected it to be.
Yes. There seems to be quite a bit going on, and we're not 100% sure exactly where it leads, but why is it something, aside from Sylvia following up with you, is this something you're dedicated to the cause in here?
She introduced me to some people called the Windward. They seem to be aware of you all, and they attempted aggressively to get me to join their ranks, but I'm willing to work with them, but I'm not going to join another guild or group. I've my own to think about. But working with them has been useful. This whole business, even in the Deanery, we had no idea any of this was happening. It seems like someone, at the very least, with power or some kind of clout is attempting to cover something up, because monsters have been going missing for a time. But also, we've taken note of a lot of monsters leaving the dungeon recently.
Yes, there seems to be quite a bit changing within the dungeon of late. I don't know if you've noticed the lines outside, but things are shaping up. I don't know if they're going to be good or bad, but only time will tell. Either way, Alexi dear, I do have, it's less of a request and more of a demand from you. You've been investigating things within Mask's district, have you not?
For the most part, it's just been what you could call marches, let's say. Moving through the area, maintaining the peace, things like that. Officially.
And unofficially, what else have you been doing?
There's been a lot of drugs moving through all of the districts recently, and I've taken an interesting note that Mask's district seems to be somewhat devoid. I don't know if that's a manner of like an iron grip or a control or anything along the lines of that. They're very tightly knit within that district, but it's just strange that drugs would be everywhere but one place. So we focused a lot of our efforts in searching there, but obviously to no avail. God of Shadows hides the secrets well. If he has anything to do with this.
So no less from that. I have an individual I would like you to essentially leave be. They're no threat to you or other people of Amarath for that matter. And they could be useful. I know you wish to protect the city, Alexi, and in doing so, sometimes you need people on the inside.
Who do you have in mind?
There's an individual named Regis. I'd like you to get off his back.
The information broker?
Yes.
We heard about him. You want me to not search for him?
Yes, dear.
I can't promise anything about my contingent. But, I could certainly try. It's not a bad idea to have an additional informant, that's true, but I think I would need to make contact to establish something official. If you can get that done...
Regards, you leave this one to me.
It's going to be hard to swing. If we have something official, then we can make it known. Otherwise, I trust you, and I'll keep them off your trail. But if it's something you're doing, it's got to be something big.
The rest of your order finds their way in, and you can't stop them. I'm not going to blame you for that, dear. I'm just saying, don't assist in this. Don't pursue it.
I'll do all I can.
That's all I ask. In return, you make me very happy.
One just smirk crosses the side of his face, and he gives kind of just a puppy dog nod.
Good. Now, I'm heading back into the dungeon within a day or so. We don't have much time. And of course, Rose is moving in. Things are very busy. If you're not too busy, I can slot some time in for us to hang out. It's been a while. Wouldn't mind going out to dinner. Or whatever time it is.
Let's all three of us do something. This is exciting. Congratulations again. I know living with Lily has been, well, not officially, but being with Lily has been incredibly exciting. I'm excited for you. You're going to have a whole new world in front of you.
Yes. You know, my relationships are a little bit different than yours, but this is definitely something that I think will have many benefits. And change is good. Change is the only way things progress and move forward.
I kind of smiles. This was the what's the word I'm looking for here? Sorry. This was the emergency. Was there anything else?
Yeah, I think this is okay for now. Sorry about the emergency, dear. It's important to me, but like I said, sometimes you can be a little bit hard to get a hold of.
If you call them, you know I want to come. So
Yes.
all right.
Feel free to head out and maybe wear something like that the next time I see you.
It's a little bit gold, isn't it?
Maybe not that color, but at least that style.
Zoltan, love it though. You really should try. It's very enjoyable. Just you'll try it sometime. You'll see. But I'll start in on that. If you can convince this person to offer something official, that would be better. But
I
I'll
can
do
do
all I
one
can.
better. Is there anything else you want me to look into? Some information that you need, maybe.
There has been some movement. A group that moves to and from the dungeon recently. If you can look into it, there seems to be a lot of... It's just they're entering and leaving regularly. They call themselves the Order of Avarice. It's kind of somewhat of a new thing. If you wouldn't mind looking into them, then you could be an eye on the inside.
Any other information? Are they a part of some particular family, or no one knows?
Not much is known yet. It's only been within the last probably month that they've become established, and only within the last few weeks that I learned the name. But the frequency at which they enter and leave the dungeon has been odd. It's just
Noted.
It's as though they're either remaining on the first floor or are ascending and descending incredibly quickly. But that's all I have for now. So, I'm going to go enjoy downstairs for a little bit. I have a little bit of time left off.
Feel free. You're on the VIP list, dear, so you'll get it for free. Come anytime you wish. And Rosa wouldn't mind seeing you.
Is she here now?
Last time I saw her, she was still running around trying to arrange what she was going to make the place look like, so maybe? I'm not
Gives
entirely sure.
a nod, a wink, and a bright thumbs up as he makes his way out the door.
All Might style.
Now, as the day passes, I suppose, is there anything else you guys want to do with this downtime within the city?
Well, I was hoping to get a little bit of maybe saving myself some time by sending Strumbeak, my homunculus, to go find Matilda at the library.
I would say you find the doorway kind of is just like dum 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 dum, and the Luxodon's like, oh, I suppose. Just slowly makes his way over you. Dun 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 dun. Oh goodness! Opens the door and it just flies past immediately over to you, Matilda. Stops directly in front of your face and just begins to attempt to pull you away from your books.
I think I like to say in the night before I started diving deep into language research, because I think I got like a good solid time researching into the night. I did language, and then from then to the morning now, I probably would have done comprehend languages, the ritual, and then read the notes that Morgan's been leaving me.
So
they say.
I think you've actually done this one before. As you look at both of these notes, they're like symbols, they themselves. Comprehend languages allows you to understand written language, but you learn the literal meaning of anything, and these ones have no literal meaning. They seem to be a cipher of some kind.
Oh man, okay. Well, can I spend some time trying to crack it?
Absolutely, go ahead. You studied for the previous night, so in this case, it would have to be something that you do
The next day.
The next day, yeah.
Okay.
But Strumbeak kind of pulls your attention away. Do you follow?
Yes, to do.
You make your way outside, no carriage awaiting your approach. You make your way back home.
Just to confirm, is this the next day, or because you were going to go grab her the next day, Killian? Okay, so this
is the morning, yeah.
Okay. I would have sent a Mrs. out. Let me know how much it costs, Adrian, to let Killian and Matilda know that we should meet up at the family home in the afternoon to speak with my elven friend.
First, Killian, your hoagie is about 6 copper, and it's chonky. So,
so what is a hoagie? Because both Bianca and Vincent do not know what this was.
Hoagie is...
It's like a sandwich. It's like a sub sandwich.
Yeah.
Sub sandwich, lots of meat. Can be... It's this kind of sub sandwich, you get the meat sweats. And Lucine's just like, oh yeah, that's good. That's lubrication right there. And begins to work.
God, ew, sorry.
Work, anyway. Nothing but work. Just tinkering. Nothing else matters. As you are, as you receive these, and Vincent, probably about 1 silver, 1 copper for sending out the couriers across the city. Knowing specific locations makes it pretty cheap. As Killian, you grab Matilda early throughout the day, and then this kind of courier reaches Matilda halfway and just like produces a note to give to her, and then unfurls the scroll to just be like, "You are being summoned," and you're just like, "Yeah, no shit." As you continue following this hummingbird that Vincent could not possibly have known was on its way.
How far is the walk?
A few hours.
Yeah, I would have been like, asked Strumbeak, "Are we going to go see Killian at the shop?" And I don't know, can Strumbeak communicate?
You can just nod, probably.
Yeah. Okay. Then I would be like, "Fuck this, we're not walking." I'll down the carriage if I can.
4 silver. Oh, so you're going to a different location. Right. Okay, then Vincent's missive is a secondary piece of information. Being like, now not only are you going here, but you're also needed at the family home shortly.
Matilda's slightly, and she's like, "God damn it, I wanted to do research today."
Oh, this is practically a part of your research because
yeah. Oh no, Matilda's really appreciative, but she's like, "Oh, now I have to leave the
like,
library."
My books.
Yeah, my books.
The life of the rich and famous.
I can't pause my research. It's an online research.
Guys, people are waiting for me. As you make your way over to Kill or Be Killed, you find...
How much is the carriage?
That was 4 silver.
Okay.
I would pay for it.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll remove that.
Thanks, Killian.
By the time you get there, Killian's just like rubbed her eyes. You can see like like soot and like whatever other chemicals that she's been working with are just
Oh.
like just kind of like smeared across her face.
What happened?
It was hard. I fell asleep doing it,
Oh,
but I tried to make up time and I didn't make up any time, so I needed your help.
oh, it's okay. It happens sometimes. I was at the library. I didn't sleep, so let's get this done. Come on.
Okay.
I need the both of you to roll alchemy proficiency.
What is that again?
For this one, you guys, you don't have all the time in the world in this instance, so it'd probably be a dexterity check with proficiency if you're proficient with alchemist supplies.
So that's a dex +3, basically. Plus a
I
D20.
guide myself.
Yes.
Okay. And +3 plus 1d4. Marble. Oh shit. No!
Hold
It's
on,
bad.
hold on. I have a new thing. Yeah,
Killian has a new thing.
I have a new thing. I use my reaction to add +3 to the roll with a flash of genius.
Let's
Ooh.
go.
I just kind of slap my forehead, and I'm like, "Wait, we can cut a corner," and like, you know, throw away like one of the like basic supplies that we had used the previous
Yeah.
time. And it's like, that's just gonna waste our time. We don't need that. You know, he's already resistant to fire anyway. He doesn't really need all of that. So just
Yes.
keep going.
Make like
Um,
a skimp.
It's like a bunch of charcoal that I've thrown away. That's like, yeah, exactly.
You didn't need to cover his horns. It's stupid.
I feel like he's getting us to make this for style reasons, not exactly for practicalities, but we're still gonna make it for him.
Yeah.
As the two of you sit back, Killian with your 24 and Matilda with a new 16. Actually, I like the implications that you were saying that there used to be horn housings on this, which means that Selene is wearing like bunny ears.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
need
Okay.
to wear it. They were separate.
Canon. As the two of you begin working, Killian 24 is a very good check. 25 is what it would have been to allow you guys to make up that time. So you have made 1.5 days worth. This is workable. It is something that you could use, but there is a chance of malfunction.
Could they bring it into the dungeon with them and keep working on it?
Yeah.
It's like a couple days before we reach
Yeah.
the fourth.
You guys are mostly done. What works here now is just making sure that you reinforce the lining. So like what you have is totally workable outside of a workshop now.
Okay. Well, I'll bulk pay for the supplies that was required for this ahead of time, so that going into the dungeon we have all the supplies with us that we need.
Okay, perfect.
So how much is it to make this?
For one suit, I'm trying to remember how I did this before. I believe it's going to end up being...
It wasn't that much.
It wasn't that much. Yeah, I think, let's say 25 gold pieces for the set.
Done and done.
whether
Whatever's
that's-
left over, I'll just take with me.
Either be it supply and demand, or like at that point it was difficult to get these, or maybe it was harder, or maybe it was easier to get these. But right now the price has fluctuated. Welcome to a
Whatever.
shifting market.
Whatever we don't use, we can hold on to it, and then we can put it in the family home so that if anyone else in our family wants to go to the fourth floor, we can make it for them, and then we'll have the supplies on hand.
It's still probably useful on multiple floors because other hot areas in the dungeon.
Yeah, I think
Every-
I can't help but feel like we should be able to alter the recipe to make it so that regardless of hot or cold, it can protect. I'll noodle on it, but
Yeah,
I might have to just remake everyone's if that's the case.
I think we would have to, because the things that we used were specifically for hot, and there are materials and chemicals that you can use that are good for hot and cold, but we'd have to remake the lining. So we wouldn't have to spend so much money on the outside, but we'd have to kind of turn it inside out and then alter the inside.
You guys prepare, having received the second missive from the courier that arrives within Kill or Be Killed. You see this kind of just young human boy enters in and just like places the missive down and is missive for Killian. No last name given.
No last name here. And I kind of wander up, kind of taking the gloves off.
It's the first time I've delivered to a goblin. Here you are.
All right. Happy to be your first.
Cheers. Is that appropriate? He turns and just walk. More to deliver. He turns and runs out of the shop.
I tear it open and see what it is.
It is a request by Vincent, written in flourishing calligraphy, and a request on behalf of Vincent, written in flourishing calligraphy on fine stationery, requesting your presence for a meeting with one Theo Fletchmall and the family home.
Does that name ring a bell to me?
You've heard Vincent mention the name Theo, but the name itself I don't think is super familiar to either of you.
You know, I didn't realize how much having friends and family would impede my research time. There's pros and cons to having those. I do enjoy having them, though. It's nice to work on projects together with people. I thought I'd hate it, but it's not terrible.
Well, what you need to find a research partner. I'm not really into books unless it's about things that I want to make.
You know, I learned something really interesting when I was at the library.
What's that?
That there's a place called the Lodum. Correct? Is it Lodum?
Mm-hmm.
There was someone named Asher that lived there, and they were a bard. So that means they probably wrote songs, and there's probably lore in her songs. And then also the connections that we saw between the Altician faith and that are. We were correct.
Okay.
So
does that mean that everything in the dungeon is like taken from here?
I don't know. We'll talk with Vincent some more, but I just wanted to let you know that there are some cool things that I was able to learn. I'm very excited about them. I'm trying very hard to focus on what was being asked of me here, but my mind is going 8 million places.
Fair enough. Do you think... Does that mean that the 10th floor exists or existed somewhere else?
I think so. There's a reason why there's 200 years worth of memory that's gone. I need to do more research, but I have a hunch of what it might be connected to.
Okay. Well, we checks like one of the myriad clocks that I'm sure now are like littered around the workshop. Half of them telling the same time, but half of them not. And so
Yeah.
I guess we shouldn't keep Vincent waiting.
Some of the clocks, as you would expect, are water clocks. It's just got a little floater, and then by the end of the day, it's just completely emptied, like an hourglass, and then slowly it kind of just flips upside down. As you guys make your way back towards Old Town, hopping into a carriage that has been prepared for you now by Carson. You see the young half-elven chauffeur makes his debut, and you are carried back across Old Town until you find yourself at the front door. During this time, Theo has not yet arrived. It's pretty early morning at this point, and you guys kind of begin to rest within the family home. Paka's there, and he is also eating a hoagie. Complete coincidence. But as you arrive, you look at it, and you're just like, huh.
Vincent would have got there probably before Theo was due to arrive in the afternoon, so somewhat just before the afternoon started. It's still in the morning, and he would have sent his own personal carriage from the Heart's Desires to go pick up Theo, both to make sure he's on time because sometimes he's not, and as a courtesy.
The morning turns to afternoon as you hear the telltale sound of hoofbeats down solid stone road. And as the Heart's Desires carriage, which is just swish, the only word I can really use for it here, arrives toward the end, Carson goes out to get Theo and bring him
I think
towards...
Vincent would come along. Also, as Vincent hears that, he's going to cast awe on himself in regards to go greeting Theo. He's actually worn something a little bit more. It's still a suit, but it's a nice suit. Like it's a little bit more showman, something more to Theo's taste.
When he begins to step out, you see a very svelte and well-dressed, clothing tailored to the point where it is just accentuating every curve on this individual's body. A short-cut blonde hair, long ears, and just sparkling eyes with fluid grace. This elvish man leaves the carriage and just finds himself on the ground, waving his hands to the side. Ah, Vincent.
boy.
I appreciate the forest. Did you plant that for me?
We didn't, Theo, but it's a nice touch.
He leans in and like kiss on one cheek, kiss on the other. Soleil. And next time, take the compliment.
Sorry.
Next time.
You cut out there, Adrian. What did you say at the end?
He said, next time, take the compliment. Let me believe. Tell me the story about how you planted this forest for me.
I'll make sure to do that to you.
I want to believe too. And then he kind of gives a look and a smile. So, how did you know I wanted to talk to you?
I didn't, but I'm all ears if you have something you wish to talk about. I simply had my own questions for you as well.
Let's do business after pleasure. He begins to stride towards the manor and enters in, kind of just pushes the front doors open and begins to stride in and looks about the place. Says, stops, turns around, and is just like, well, it's not your home. This place needs a style update, but it's quite nice.
Family does what they can with what we have, so.
Lavos approaches in a top hat and a tuxedo, opening the door, and immediately, as soon as that happens, he kind of stops and just closes the door again. Looking around, he waits. Theo waits for a few moments to just kind of like strokes his chin, looks over towards you, and then back towards the door. As it opens, Lavos is wearing just like a nice suit, hair slicked back, like beard somewhat less scraggly. As he moves in, and everyone kind of within the central entry area, Theo looks towards him and says, "Why all the green, though? I understand the nature of a green carpet, but it's a lot of green within this particular area." And Lavos just kind of backs into the room and closes the door again. This time he does not return.
Well, what was it you wanted to talk about?
Oh, but you had...
pleasure first?
No. You had questions first, please.
Well, one of my dear family members has some questions for your kind, basically. She's interested in elms. And I figured, you could be a good one to maybe quell her curiosity,
Ah, interested in elves. Well, I'm all ears. What did you have?
Matilda? You guys are there, by the way, just in case you were wondering if you were in the room.
One thing
Vincent
I must say, this is not uncommon. Just about everyone is interested in elves. So, you do not need to feel as though you are different. You're dreadfully normal. Gives a wild smile.
Oh, you're muted.
To be perfectly honest, I don't feel... I don't know. I don't feel very mediocre. I consider myself very smart. So, anyway.
And she has like paper and a pen, and it looks like if you saw the paper, there's like lots of questions that she's written out of what she wants to ask. The first one,
how old are you? How long have you been around?
You should not simply ask that of someone. But
You should...
I've been around for a few centuries.
Over 200 years or less than 200 years?
A handful more.
In the back of Vincent's head, Carson, make us some tea, and he'll give what he assumes is the favorite flavor of what he uses.
Alright, where are you from? Geography-wise.
I grew up south of the Valen Ring. I followed Corellon into this domain when the dungeon descended. And, there's an awful lot of restrictions that I didn't find particularly interesting, so I decided to strike out on my own. Made a name for myself. Bit of an outcast in that way.
What do you know? Do you know anything about the missing 200 years that's going on around here?
You're referring to the human histories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely certain. A long time ago, the elves and the dwarves had a falling out as to whether or not we should aid the humans in their eventual growth. The Dianthian Empire began to spread across Arborea. The dwarves were for it, and the elves against. And so when the wars began to knock on the plains, so to speak, we created a wall for them to knock against instead, the Valen Ring. Elven high magic, we raised a mountain range to keep ourselves within, and that is where we stayed. So,
How long ago was that?
a few hundred years now.
So around the time the 200 years went missing.
Around the same.
I assume this means you guys won't. You don't have much information. I assume you kept pretty close to yourself.
We didn't like to meddle. We had focused in on the things that we could, perfecting ourselves and our craft.
You're a bit
It was
of
a
an
beautiful
outcast,
time.
though. You seem to like humans, so
I find them fascinating.
so you
Tell the
didn't
truth.
sneak out at any point to see what was going on during that time period.
Well, not to say that I didn't, but not in the direction that you would think. I often found quite a bit of solace in the Stormlands. It was rather beautiful, watching the crashing waves tear apart things like mountains.
That means I probably gotta go talk to some dwarves. Well, why would elves be trying to drug humans?
This is fun, isn't it? I'm sorry, repeat that one?
Why would elves be trying to drug humans?
They wouldn't.
Oh, but they are!
This
I
reminds
don't
me,
think
dear.
so.
Vincent pulls a piece of paper out of his pocket. It was the one attached to the cart that we chased the Elven men down. It was written in Elvish. None of us could read it. You know what this says?
Well, I can read that now.
Well, save your magic. We have someone here, I'm sure, can read it.
He reaches over and plucks it from your hand and flips it around and takes a gander and he says, it's a challenge. They're saying, come find me. Actually, I don't know that it's so much a challenge. In the way that they've written it here, it almost seems to imply danger. Not to you, but just danger. Might be a cry for help.
Interesting. There was an
Why-
Elven individual who put that on a cart after we got into a scuffle of some sort.
Were you inside the Seldarine fence at this time?
No. This was in, what was the district, Adrian?
The bounty.
We were in the Bounty.
They were connected to a cult of, what was the other person, the other weird creation's name?
Oh, the
No.
one that we killed.
Yeah.
Oh, the Fury spawn?
Fury?
Yeah.
Fury. I think all we knew was called the Fury.
Yeah. It was, in connection with the Fury cult.
You mentioned a drug. Tell me about that.
Mm-hmm. They're using lots of creatures as test subjects to create a drug that only affects humans. And considering the bad blood between humans and elves, it wasn't that. It was surprising, but also not surprising to see an elf helping with that process.
You see, there's a kind of faint stardust that's been omnipresent in his eyes, and it fades away ever so slightly, and just reveals kind of these deep, just gorgeous eyes. What color are Theo's eyes, Vincent?
I like to think that they're kind of lavender in a way. Silver lavender.
Oh, I also was looking at the picture previously, so I messed this up, but he has pale lavender, ombre hair that fades down to a bit of a light blonde. He stares.
Just to clarify, people who drink it would get crystals in their eyes. Spell component type of crystals. Nothing specific, not like diamonds or anything like that, but
Their eyes would also turn yellow. As far as we could tell, it was sort of elven alchemical. At least the bases were.
I've heard some things. There was an elven alchemist by the name of Celiot. Let me write this in. With a C. Celiot. He was somewhat known. He was kicked out the Seldorine fence by Corlon and by Seanine, I believe. He was attempting to distill a potion that would allow children to enter Arvindor once more. How much do you know about the makeup of elves?
your makeup looks okay to me.
Thank you. I love this one. But here's the thing. We elves have phases to life. And in our youngest phases as children, we exist in an almost constant state of euphoria. We recall the days when we were primal spirits. We wandered Arvindor, the creation, the plane that had been created for us and by us with Corlon. It is paradise. Since the arrival of the dungeon, there has been no connections to Arvindor. That has been difficult, very difficult, for all elves, myself included, but for the most part, children. And Celiot was attempting, in his hubris, to attempt to create or facilitate this feeling once more, so that the children might be able to wean into life. In each phase of life, you begin to lose more and more of these memories. We enter into reverie, trance. But if it's this bloody idiot that is doing any of this, then I don't like it. Would make a good tragedy, though.
I think there's more drama unfolding than tragedy at this point.
Why are we seeing more elves around the city and also a bunch going into the dungeon?
That I don't know. I have no connection to that society very much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If
There's
you're
a
interested
difference?
in learning a bit about the elves, there is a human amongst the elves who had been taken quite a while ago. A fine hunter and a specimen, so to speak, that Corlon took quite a liking to. His name is Gverin Windstrom. He is a god who lives within the Seldorine Fens in a location known as the Range. Is a small family, but he is a elf-accepted human alongside human sympathizers.
Since you've been around for a long time, do you know anything about Astrid and her songs? You might have heard one. She's from Lodum.
The
which
name's
is
not
way...
unfamiliar. Lodum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These are dungeon things, yes?
Yes and no.
I'm not entirely sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions, or shall I move on to part 2 of this little play?
Just have one curiosity. Vincent will minor illusion the elf that we encountered. He got a pretty good look at him. You wouldn't recognize this individual, right?
He rolls his eyes immediately and slumps back, and he's like,
Is this Celiot?
yes.
Interesting. Well, this is the man we almost maybe ended his life, but he got away. And he's the one who left that note.
Does he want us to find him, or does he want us not to? Like, I'm confused. You need to be more direct in your messaging.
Well, sometimes they can't be, dear. If what you're saying about this note is true, he might not be willingly doing this.
I sure hope not. This whole thing.
Does Celiot have a family? Or is he the type to... Does he like humans? Would he have a family with them?
No. He did have a family.
Who would you think would want to eradicate humans? Because there's been a lot of curses going on, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone found that Celiot was good at what they did and tried to use their knowledge for nefarious purposes.
I imagine most, humans included, like to get rid of other humans. But as for some kind of grand sweeping scheme, I run a theater. I don't have too much of an ear to the ground for things like that.
You've probably noticed there's a lot of people that have been going missing. What do you know about the missing people?
I did have a friend, a work companion, go missing recently. Although, initially I thought they had skipped out on working for my theater and traveled up to Helianth. But, if people are indeed going missing, then perhaps that warrants a thought.
Yes.
What race were they?
A halfling man. His name is Drya.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Oh, sorry, I spelled that wrong.
I will say to you, if you notice more people going missing, even locals or like patrons that came a lot but don't seem to be coming anymore, I would report it. There's a lot of people going missing. We don't know why.
That's worrying. Hopefully, all of this gets settled. Please keep me informed on anything you have to do with this alchemical concoction. It's of a personal interest.
Thank you for not taking offense to my direct questioning.
We take our time where it is necessary. And when things happen in a direct manner, so long as that is the time that was taken that is necessary, I don't see any problems.
Carson, do you have a tea?
Carson has arrived a few times throughout and has kind of filled in these tea, but just periodically kind of showing up through the shadows. He appears now with a fresh pot. Theo looks towards you all and says, "Love the aesthetic. Black darkness, all that. Fantastic. But can you ask the help to exit the room for a moment, Vincent?"
Vincent just nods at Carson.
Carson gives a happy nod and turns and begins to make his way out. Did that bother him? He seemed to be the type. The help. I didn't actually need him gone. I just thought that would be fun. I have an opportunity, Vincent. I have an opportunity for you. Now, it seems you've been making some waves in the show theater districts. You went on a mission and spoke with one Horizefa. Yes, you seemed to make quite a lasting impression on him. He's been asking around for you. That led him to me, and I have been trying to get Horizefa involved in my business for a very long time. Brilliant actor, but he's incredibly devout to his small little company. However, he seems more interested in you now than he does his own.
I may have unintentionally shown him what I'm capable of.
Good. Very good. I want you to meet with him. I want you to bring him in. I have an opportunity. There are certain individuals who are coming to the city. And there is a, let's say, auction taking place within the city limits. They expect me to put on a show before the auction starts. Lots of high-profile clients. And if you can get Harai in, the two of you, I think can change the scene.
When
I think
will
this can
take
make
place?
waves. It's in roughly 2 weeks. It's dreadfully short, but if that's enough time for the two of you to get together, create an orchestration, and plan some kind of show, about an hour long. This is a huge opportunity to break in.
I'll see what I can do. I'm heading back into the dungeon for a week or so, but if by happen chance I come out by then, I'll have something ready.
Don't underestimate this.
What,
Private show in a vehicle auction. Very influential people will be there.
Very Who exactly?
I don't know that I
Say
can share
vehicle?
that entirely. Indeed. Some of the items on the docket seem to be skyrunners. A sloop, a copter, a galley, I believe, is in there as well.
That's something that interests you, Killian?
I mean, not to. Well, I mean, yes, but also not. I'm not gonna buy anything. I don't think. Auctions are for people with a lot of money, and I don't have a lot of money, so that's. I'm okay. I'm good.
Well, they might have pots on auction, so you never know.
Lots of opportunity to be a rubber bidder as well. Some influential families will pay others to enter into the auction and artificially increase prices by bidding and betting on their own pieces. And that can be quite lucrative as well, if it's gold you're interested in. But it's not strictly legal.
What is nowadays, dear?
Well, quite a lot. I won't
Is it
get
a lot of? Is it a lot of noble families from up north?
There are several.
Are they coming?
Indeed. I've heard that some are simply sending people to requisition certain items in their place. But amongst, we have nobility from Amaranth, nobility from Helianth, and quite a few people from south of the Valenring, as far as rumors have spread.
I know there's been, not necessarily rumors, but confirmation that the Emperor of Dianthus is, switched off and took his own bond of his own. Do you think that there will be anything within the city soon in regards to that?
Well, I'm not entirely certain. That sounds like human politics to me. But nothing in this particular get-together, as far as I'm aware. That sounds like something that would be clandestine, though. It's not impossible.
Either way, this does interest me. I'll see if I can squeeze this in. I think it's something that could benefit us all. Killian, if you want, you could make a piece to auction at that.
I can get it on the docket.
Killian, we can make a piece.
Okay. I mean, depending on how big of a piece. If we're in the dungeon, I might not have the time to actually get something meaningful put together.
We'll see what we can work with.
I have an idea that it'll be just as showy enough to get the snobs to want it, but it will be easy enough that we won't have to recreate the wheel.
Okay. I guess don't put us in the docket until we have something to put in the docket. I don't know how any of this works.
I think at this point it's better to be on the docket than not there. If you cancel, that's fine.
Oh, if you
Okay.
cancel, that will be incredibly interesting, won't it? The item that no one could buy. Drive up need before you even have anything to sell in the first place. You have a little bit of rumor about you as well. The bird builder, as far as I'm aware.
I haven't heard that term, but I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
There aren't many goblins traveling on mechanical avian, but you might be able to capitalize on that as well. If you have ideas, I'm telling you this now. I'll be putting you on the docket.
Okay.
And he looks over towards Matilda and says, "This idea of yours, do you have a working title?"
No.
I actually like your little, why don't we call it a mystery box? Won't know what it is until it shows up.
They also have some weaponry. Ship-mounted, of course. I have seen 12-pound cannons and quite a few different ship-mounted javelins as well. But I look forward to seeing what you work in. I'll pull some ears and see what I can get done. And Vincent, I know you won't let me down on this. You can make waves.
You know me, dear. I don't disappoint.
You've got that right. Leans back, looks towards everybody, and says, "I have had a lovely time. Thank you all for having me. I'm afraid I have other matters to attend to."
If it suits your fancy, just as a start to this repayment, I wouldn't mind playing a song right now.
He sits back down.
I think Vincent's gonna go up. He's going to do he's improved upon his Astrid ballad, and he's gonna play that before Theo. Call it the Widow's Ballad. Cool. Do you want me to roll performance for that?
Please do. Your previous performance was, I believe, a 31 in orchestrating this on the spot. So you can have advantage on this.
It also could be Lost Love's Ballad.
Yeah, that also works.
Because even if you do the Widow has a lot of dungeon.
Well, I don't know. There's lots of widows in the city too. But could I add composer to this as well?
You may, yes.
Not quite as good as before.
As you lean back and you begin to play, it moves through the individual motions of the song. And you can see as Theo kind of like leans back and begins to take in the music, he just tenses his fingers and slowly crosses them and begins to listen. He opens his eyes once again, flecked with that starlight, as he begins to just focus in on this moment. Like never blinking, unceasingly staring at you, to absorb this memory as potently as possible. And when the music ends, he stops and he stands up. He says, "It's beautiful. And I know you've got more in you for me." He leans over, places a hand on your shoulder, and gives a smile. "What you've just shown me, perfected. Because it stands the test of time to become something real. This is exciting." He stands back. "I'm going to use your carriage again. I'm probably going to use it for the rest of the day. I trust that's fine."
Should be okay.
He smiles and begins to make his way towards the door as he stops and spins around towards you all and says, "It has been my absolute pleasure." Pirouettes to the door once more. As he exits, Lavos enters in wearing a new outfit, and he's like, I think I got it right this time." As the door closes on the other side, and he's like,
He's already gone, dear. You missed him.
Yeah. Vincent, we're going clothes shopping. As he closes the door.
Matilda, dear, was that good?
I think
Anything
so.
else you'll need from these, or you think this gets you on your way?
I mean, it kind of just reinforces a lot of things that I've been thinking of. I was telling Killian, but I found out that there's a connection that we were assuming between the Eltish and Faith. The symbols in the dungeon are correct. There's a place called Lodum up, like way the fuck up there, and
You mentioned, and there's a bard named Astrid of some sort?
or a songwriter named Astrid.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they renamed it Lodum, so it wasn't Lodum always, but they renamed it.
That
And
sounds too much to be a coincidence.
yes, and also the fact that there's 200 years missing, and also the fact that elves can't get into their, I don't know, happy elf daycare now for their young elves ever since the dungeon came out. There's just a lot of things that are starting to click, I think.
Either way, it's nice to get some confirmation. Celiot. Might be beneficial to go and try to track him down.
He wants
He
to
might
be
not
wonder-
be.
found.
He might not be doing this willingly, so
Might not
This
need
may-
to track him. If he wants to be found, maybe just a spellogram.
this is true.
Also, too, he might be connected to Morgan's stuff. Morgan gives me these dumb notes that are encrypted, and I need to spend time and figure them out.
You do that for the rest of the today. I need to head off and pursue Adrian. What was that individual's name that Theo wanted me to talk to?
Oh, Harai Zephyr. You're already aware of where to find him. He's at the Celine's Open Air Theater.
Yeah. I remember where he was and who he is, just not his name. I need to pursue this Harai this evening, set something up so that if we do need to go into the dungeon tomorrow, I can work on this. It's going to take a minimum of 7 days just to get up to the 5th floor, so that leaves us about 6 days or so to explore the 6th and beyond before we need to return for the auction.
Well, if it's 5 days in one direction, it'll be another 5 days in the back direction.
That's true.
It doesn't
So
leave us a lot of
2.5
time.
days to explore because we have to get back down to the 5th level. Rope truck back out.
I know we're trying to rush to get ahead, but I don't know. It seems like almost not worth the effort.
You mean to go into the dungeon right now, do you?
Well, if it takes us a week to get there, and then we only have 2 days to explore or try to push forward before we have to then come back. What if we just take these 2 weeks to like really prepare, do what we need to do, maybe gain some reputation? I know I want to get up there just as quickly as any of you guys, maybe even more so, but I mean, if it's going to take a week just to spend 2 days there, I'd rather take 2 weeks and then spend as long as we need to.
Well, you've convinced me. I don't need any more thoughts on this. I'm more in your ballpark as well. Matilda, you can also pursue this Celiot during this time as well. See if maybe you can track down, send him a spellogram.
I also think it's beneficial to let all the other people do all the heavy lifting, and then we can kind of come in after.
If only the dungeon really worked that way, but every time we go to a floor, it seems to be just kind of waiting for us.
If it's changing, then heavy lifting won't matter.
I think that I don't know what's changing particularly, but the thing that seems to always surprise me is that no one seems to notice the story that's going on. Even when we were there that one time in waiting, and that one guy was surprised that we did what we did. You know, I don't think people are paying attention. I think that if you listen and follow the story, that it's not going to change as much. Do you know what I mean? Like it kind of follows its path. But if you go out of order, I don't think the dungeon's letting you do that anymore, and it's kind of fucking up everyone else that's trying to skip ahead or wait things out, because every time we seem to defer from the story path, bad shit seems to happen to us. So I don't know if it's like a pattern or if I'm going crazy, but it just seems that the safest way to get there is to follow whoever we're following along.
Well, we can roll with that to a bit, but kind of like before with Astra, there's robots that we hit and not necessarily a way we can get past them. if I'm willing to indulge your guys' curiosity into the dungeon, but at the end of the day, we need to make progress. So if we're staying on a floor too long, then we'll have to eventually cut our losses and head out if we can. But
As everyone begins their preparation into this next leg, thinking about how they're going to spend the next little bit of time, a spark of inspiration and curiosity across Matilda and Killian's minds in this kind of just docket on a vehicle auction that they have been granted. And Vincent, the opportunity of a lifetime presented before you. The first break into true stardom in the nature of the bard. An opportunity that many would kill for presents itself before you. And as we all prepare for the next steps, that'll be it for this week. So, thank you all for coming. And until next time, and the next tale, and the next... Bye, everybody.
yeah.
You will never beat me, friends.